Okay, so these are recreations of classic analog gear from Roland. We've got three of them. We've got the JP08, the JU06 and the JX03. The JP08 being a recreation of the Jupiter 8. And again, the patch panel, everything's where you expect it if you're used to these old sort of classic gear. The Jupiter 6, which is a recreation of the Juno 106, sorry. And again, exactly panel, switch for switch, every parameter for parameter, everything's there as you'd expect it to be. JX03 is a recreation of the JX3P. Again, same sort of deal. Okay, so the main difference you're going to find with these are all 4-voice instruments, so whereas the Jupiter 8 was an 8-voice. Apart from that, your signal flow for the actual programming side of it is exactly the same. You go from 64 feet all the way up to 2. You've got sync on these oscillators, same as the original. Then it steps into the VCF, so you get your filter, both variable slope 12 dB or 24 dB per octave. High pass filter over here. So it just steps over in this sort of chain. Your 2 envelopes, which can be assignable for either the filters, your pitch.
Now you mentioned 4-voice polyphony.
Yep.
But it doesn't just stop there, does it? You can expand this, so let's talk a little bit about that.
For sure. If you've got 2 of these, you can actually put them 2 side by side and actually use them, and that'll actually assign all the voices as you'd expect into a full 8-voice instrument. So you can play them as you'd expect. You've got a sequencer on each of these as well. You'll notice all the synths have the same sort of sequencer on there, and you can sequence your own patterns and actually sync that up. If you've got some of the IRA gear, you can sync it all up to that sort of thing as well.
So how many presets do we have on board for these?
64. And they're all editable, all savable.
So over USB to your PC or your Mac,
yeah.
no problem at all.
Yeah, the USB also shows up as an audio device, so you don't need anything. You basically just plug it into your DAW.
Yeah.
Shows up as an audio device itself. Don't need an external audio device.
Yep.
And away you go, ready to record.
So actually, let's move on to some of the other features of this thing. One of the things with synths released by manufacturers these days with these sorts of form factors, I mean, they are small, aren't they? Let's not beat around the bush with that. The mini keys thing, you know, love them or hate them. Roland's got an interesting take on this, I think. They've made the keys optional. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that, okay, because we're actually going to swap one of these other units into what I'm led to believe is the optional K25M keyboard.
This is right, yes.
All right, so let's have a look at that.
So each of these are separate modules. You purchase them individually. The keyboard, as was mentioned, you get it separately. But each of these modules just clip into this housing here. So I'll just unplug this guy. Now on the side here, there's a little button. You can push it in, and the whole module just slips out with a little ribbon control at the back. And you can unplug this. It's going off. And to swap another one in, at the back, there's a little port where you can actually put the ribbon in. So we'll just slot that guy in first. Come on, go in. There you go. And
Always tricky the first time.
it is always tricky the first time. And then you slot it back in. And the stand at the back, stand it up.
This is a really interesting idea. Now, just because these things aren't connected into the optional keyboard, look, we can still play these with an external controller, can't we?
Of course, yeah, they're all fully MIDI controlled.
So whatever your favourite controller beast is, you're still good to go with that.
That's exactly right. Even incorporating it into an on-stage setup, if you've got a stage keyboard and you want to throw in some nice Jupiter sounds, you can throw it in.
Let's, with the JP08 that we've just pulled out, let's have a look at the back panel of that. What have we got in terms of I/O there?
Okay, so I/O, you've got obviously a USB MIDI, so that can carry audio and MIDI to your DAW. This also provides power to the unit. Alternatively, you've got a battery pack at the back where you can stick your batteries in. Also, so you've got main volume control, power on and off. All the physical input and output, audio input and output, are all 1/8" jack. So you've got headphone out, main output, and an input which you can run through the filters and that sort of thing. This is also when you can actually, when you're syncing multiple units together, you can mix them all together through the input. So just output from one unit, input to the other. Obviously you've got your MIDI in and out, and that's pretty much it.
All right, Ashley, we've got the JU06 now plugged in, so we've seen how the modules can be interchanged, and with the optional keyboard, the K25M. Just before we get stuck into the JU06, though, let's have a look at the ribbon controllers, the pitch bend and modulation, which is kind of interesting.
For sure. Obviously your pitch bend on the left. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward, and it tracks really nicely as well. Same with the mod wheel, and it shows you a nice handy display of what your levels you're actually using. So here I've got it assigned to a vibrato effect. Quite simple to use.
And this is standard across all three units,
all three.
Of course.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into the JU06. So yeah, Ash, let's make it sing.
So so we've got basically a basic little pad sort of sound that we've got plugged into this at the moment. Very typical sort of Juno sound. So again, I've got the LFO controlling some vibrato effect there. The filters are really nice. No stepping or anything like that. Really, really clean, really nice sounding.
So Ash, the Juno 106 was really also about that chorus.
That chorus.
Let's hear that chorus.
The chorus one on. Chorus 2.
So Ashley, one of the things that people have been talking about on the internet, of course, is the form factor. You know, they're not the same size as the original units they're based on, obviously.
For sure.
You know, there is this sort of feeling about how comfortable are these controls. You know, I notice you've got the same sort of big fat fingers that I've got, but you've been dancing over these front panels without too much trouble.
Yeah, no, they're very, very well spaced. They're just right. Again, big hands, big fingers, but the knobs are actually spaced out perfectly evenly apart, so I'm not running into things as I can twiddle them, and they're just really good feeling knobs. And yeah, they're just, it's not cluttered in any way, and they're all laid out really well.
Well, actually, look, on behalf of myself and the crew at SonicState.com, our thanks to yourself, Ashley Carr from Cosmic Sound and Lighting in Osborne Park in Perth in Western Australia, and of course Roland Australia for bringing these units down here and let us all have a really good look at them. So no, thank you so much.
No worries at all, my pleasure.